All right, so you've downloaded the eligibility list, and now we're going to try and create a file with Google Sheets and make it easier to use. So I'm starting in A1, and I'm holding down Control, Shift, and the down arrow on the keyboard to copy and highlight all the data going down in that column. And then I'm holding Control, Shift, and clicking the right arrow to highlight all the data going across. Just to make sure that it's going correct, I'm going to right click on the data highlighted, click copy, and now I'm going to open up Google. I'm going to click on the waffle and click on Sheets. When I click on Sheets, this page should show up. Click the plus button for the blank sheet. A blank sheet should open up. And then in here, what you're going to do in A1 is you're going to actually go up to Edit and go down to where it says Paste Special and Save Values Only. And it might take a little while to load. So I'm going to pause this until it populates. All right, so it took about 30 or 40 seconds for all the information to load, and it did also pop up with a little warning sign saying that it's become unresponsive. Just wait a little bit longer to see if that goes away, and then all the data populates into your columns. All right, from here, we're going to move the ID column into the A column. So right here is the ID numbers. And we're going to drag this by clicking on F and drag it when I have a little hand. And drag, 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 drag over to the A column and drop it. And one more time, I want to make sure that I didn't delete anything. Okay, it looks like it might delete. So another thing you can do is you can insert a column to the left of A and then drag your ID over so that way it doesn't delete it. Oh, and it just moves it anyway. So it's being finicky. Let's play around with it, see what happens. But we want the IDs in the A column because that's where we're going to have it pull all the information for. All right, so once we've done that, we are going to click on the box right here between A and 1 to highlight all the information. We're going to go over to create a name range. So in data, we're going to click on name ranges. And we're just giving a name to this sheet of data so that when we try and call back on it later, all we have to do is type in that name. So I'm just going to say original. And it's highlighting all the data that we have copied because we clicked on that square right there and click done. And now I can exit out of that part, and we'll come back to that later when we're writing our formula. Down over here, I'm also going to rename the sheet so I know that this was the original sheet. Click the plus button to add a new sheet. This is just going to be our ID sheet, so I'm going to just write IDs. And here we're going to copy column A. So I clicked on column A, click Control C to copy the data, go into the ID, click Control V to paste the data, and I'm going to freeze row 1 by clicking on row 1, click View, go down to Freeze, and just freeze it. So now row 1 won't move around on us. All right, now we're going to delete any of the duplicates that we have. So when A is highlighted, we're going to go over to Add-ons and go down to Remove Duplicates, Find Duplicates or Uniques, and click on that. Give it a moment to think. From here, this is what we have selected. So go ahead, and you don't need to create a backup of the sheet, so you can uncheck that, less work for the computer to do. Click Next. And we want to find duplicates and exclude the first occurrence, which is the first option right here. And then click Next. And the first row does have a ID here, so we're just going to say something. All right, yeah, we're going to leave my column has a header check marked so that the first row will show the first ID. And we go and click Next. And we want to delete rows within the section that we've highlighted that are duplicates and just keep the originals. So now I should click Finish, let it think. And it says it's found duplicates and they deleted them, and then go ahead and click Close. Now we should only have around 100 something, 150 so student ID numbers that are just populated here. Perfect. So from here, we're going to start building our sheet that we want to keep information for and how we want to view it. So I'm actually just going to copy or duplicate this sheet just so I can come back to this and play with it in the future if I need to. And so just click Duplicate. And then I'm going to rename this to whatever I'm going to come back to look at all the time. So give it a name. And this is when you're going to fill out what you need for the table. And here we are ready to add the formulas. So I'm going to go through the entire formula for the first column, and then I'm basically just going to copy it and edit it for each row or column afterwards. So the formula is equal signs if error parenthesis VLOOKUP parenthesis. And the first column is A2 because it's reading the ID number in A2, and comma original. This is where when we made that one sheet that had we did the data, and so it's pulling from that original set of information, comma, and in the sixth column I believe it will have our grade number, and if not I'll go back and count. Close or false, close parenthesis, comma, 0, and close parenthesis. Click enter, and there we go. It shows the grade number. I can double click the little box down here and it will populate all the grade numbers for all the other ID numbers, and just going back to check. So when I click here, that's column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so F2 is the sixth column in our data sheet. And so it's pulling the information from the sixth column for that row right there. All right, so now I'm going to do that for the rest of the columns to pull the information. And I already have the numbers. You can always go back and double check which column it is in when you need to do that. So I'm just copying the formula. I highlighted it, click Control C, and then I clicked Escape so it didn't keep highlighting it in that one spot. And I click Control V to paste the formula. It still is pulling from A2, which is what I want, but instead of column 6 for names, it should be in column 13 for the names. And there you go, that worked out. So I'm going to keep doing the same thing all the way across. In gender, in this case, it was row 21. For fee, and always make sure that A2 is the one that's written. Sometimes it might change it to a different column, so always make sure that the A column is the one that we're pulling the ID information from. So for fee, it should be 31. And for physical, it should be 32. And physical date, it should be 45. All right, and notice how the date came up really weird. I don't know why those numbers are that way. To change that, just highlight all of G, go into Format, go down to Number, and we want to change it to date, and it will display it as what we typically see dates as. All right, so I'm going to just go back to my other columns, and now that the formula is correct for each column, I'm just going to double click so that it populates the formulas all the way down. And if for some reason physical or fees are showing up as an X here, but they weren't originally showing that in the original document, you can figure out how it's supposed to be posted, go into formula and number, and tell the computer what it's supposed to relay back. Like if it's had like a date, time, or if it was a number, then it will fix that. But right now it's just pulling X that yes, it's been paid, or it has something in that cell. All right, so that is how to copy the sheet. Again, you can organize your data by keeping it in order. And this is where I'd recommend to make your 6th grader sheet to be separate. Just add another new sheet, rename it to 6th grade. All right. And then when you have organized the information here, I just highlight it and find where 6th graders ended. And I'm holding Shift and I'm clicking on the last column that I need for that. Click Control C, go to 6th grade tab and Edit, and Special Paste Values Only. And it's no longer, if you click on here, you don't see the formula anymore. So it just pasted what was in those boxes. It didn't paste the formula that was pulling it from the original sheet. So now you just have your 6th grader column here and you see your number there. If you want to delete it from here now, so you just have 7th and 8th there, or you do the same thing that we just did for 6th graders by highlighting from 7th all the way down to 8th, or the unknown student grade, and then just creating a 7th and 8th grade sheet. That way you don't have to mess with any of the formulas or anything. Whatever you're most comfortable with. And again, I'm just going to do the paste with values only so it doesn't transfer the formula over if I don't want to. And again, you are going to want to make sure your first row is frozen so that doesn't move on you if you're trying to organize anything. So View, Freeze, and up to the current row. So now my row 1 is frozen, and with my 6th graders, I'd want to do the same thing. That way, if I ever organize it by alphabetical order or anything, I don't have to worry about my header row disappearing somewhere. All right, and so this final sheet, I'm actually going to change the name to the formula sheet. That way I know where it's at.